It's an honor, but also not such an honor to be at the end of such a wonderful day. But I will try my best. So my name is Lea Taragin Zeller, and I'm a social anthropologist with a particular interest in gender and religion. And here at the Woolf Institute, I'm working on a project called Religious Sisterhood, in which I explore the emergence of grassroots female interfaith initiatives in the UK. It examines the way Jewish and Muslim women come together to share common difficulties and strive to achieve social, cultural, and civic change vis-a-vis the rise in Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. So I'd like to begin by sharing some field notes with you as I joined a female interfaith event in London. So I can barely see outside the foggy window as we enter the underground parking lot of London's Central Mosque. I climb out of Jennifer's car to help set up for an interfaith event to be held later on that day. As we leave the car, she asks if I mind if we go pray before the event. I assure her that I am happy to join, and we start our journey into the mosque. Climbing up the stairs, I make out the gendered signs directing women in one direction and men to the other. We enter the bathroom to wash our hands in one of the old sinks. Jennifer mutters how unhappy she is with the setup. It's better than other places that don't have a place for women to pray at all, but still. I tell her how I had complained about this to a rabbi, who replied that the women's section is on the top floor because they are on a higher spiritual level than men. She laughs wholeheartedly, as you are, and says that the local imam has described the women's prayer room as the Mercedes of the mosque. We share a good laugh as we take off our shoes and enter the prayer room. A beautiful mosque appears in all its glory. The ceiling shines from blue and gold tiles, which perfectly meet the long gray rug covering the floor. For a second, it seems that the cloudy day has cleared up, and massive trees can be seen through the large glass windows. What a beautiful view, I say in awe. Wait until you see the main prayer room, Jennifer teases me. When will we be able to enter the main prayer room, I wonder? Jennifer doesn't answer. She's started to pray. After a few minutes, she emerges slowly from the carpeted floor, a smile on her face. You won't have to wait long. As soon as the interfaith event begins, you'll be able to go in. Ordinarily, we wouldn't be allowed in, but interfaith events change the rules. So what I love about this vignette is the laughter. The continuous laughter that informs much of our conversation and that you guys shared here is, I think it echoes some of the similar frustration that both of us feel as women in traditional positions of faith and as a critique of the status of women in our home communities. But this laughter also exposes how both of us want to stay part of these communities while holding on to claims of gender equality. And having said that, it also stresses the role that interfaith encounters can play in reshaping and reconfiguring gendered boundaries in contemporary Britain. As Jennifer put it so nicely, interfaith events really do change some of the rules. And during my fieldwork, I became very much intrigued by the role interfaith can play in the configuration of women's identities. And I think that these type of shared struggles and this shared trajectory towards civic change is something that we don't hear that much, both in public discourse, but also in academic discourse. When scholars of religion, I've lost it. Can you help me with that? Yeah, when scholars of religion speak about, if you can help me, I'll continue as is. So scholars of religion really show how various religious groups are currently questioning the accepted norms, ideologies, and practices that are accepted in their communities. And in particular, this scholarship has revealed how women are expressing discontent with their gendered roles in their communities, and some are really clamoring openly for reform. And I have worked on that much myself in terms of modesty and contraception. But in this project, what I find really interesting is whereas former studies have focused on distinct groups and analyzed the particular ways religious members make sense of their inner communal conflicts, this study suggests more of a comparative approach to gender and religion. And to put it simply, we know so much about Jewish women in particular contexts and so much about Muslim women in particular contexts, but we don't know so much about the encounters between these groups because usually we study them as their own unit. So what I'm really excited about in this project, and I'll just, oh, it worked, yay, thank you, is to try to see through the emergence of these Jewish Muslim female interfaiths, to try to further our understanding of gender and religion by examining the ways women from different religious backgrounds come together as they debate, struggle, and critique traditional gender ideals rooted in male leadership and authority. So during the past 15 years, there's been a rapid increase of interfaith initiatives in the UK. Many, for a long time, women were not at the forefront of this. It was a very male, ideological, textual type of interfaith. But what I'm trying to do is look at the more grassroots female interfaith, which has become quite interesting. And what I wanted to say here is to bring some pictures. And I have been looking at women in different groups who are doing really interesting and creative things, like interfaith cooking, and participating in very different types of activities. And what I found is that this is a space in which women can learn to lead. So as one of the interfaith meetings I attended, there was a joint prayer session, and the room was set up. Prayer works were on one side, a Jewish prayer books on the other. After the Muslim women finished washing their hands, they started to assemble themselves on the prayer rugs. And even though they were all positioned, they were still fiddling around in awkward silence. And finally, one of the women asks, "Are we doing this as individuals or collectively?" The women started looking at each other. Is someone willing to lead? So Isa, one of the Muslim women, laughed and said she would be happy to lead. I can't do this at my mosque. I might as well start it here. So this is just to say that interfaith offers a really special space for women to perform leadership roles that they were not able to do in other spaces. And I am very excited about this phenomenon, and I hope to use this type of research to look at this as a global phenomenon, look about gender equality, religion, race, intersectionality, religious minority studies, and stuff like that. And I'd love to hear your questions and comments, either here or just throughout the evening.